All right. Hey. I need a back. I need to figure out adjusting where it doesn't help that I don't record in the same space ever. So I don't know what a good distance is for anything. How are you guys? How's everything? Oh, it's been a long day for me. So if you watched yesterday's video, there was one point where I said, this is the second half of the bottle of wine and I'm not going to finish it. I finished it. I finished it. I stayed up way too late talking with my friends and doing a lot of like drunken professing my love for all of my friends. Um, I do a lot of that anyways, sober. So it's a little bit extra when I'm drunk. But, we all gotta have those days, right? I mean, if you don't drink, then I'm not saying like you need a day where you need to go drink. That's not what I mean. Just like a day where it's just whatever. That was my yesterday. So work this morning was a little rough. Not gonna lie about that. Thankfully, it was an easy day. My students in these two classes seemed to be great. So that went off without a hitch. I came home. I tried to take a nap, but the rest of my family came home. I didn't get to take a nap. Very tired. You can tell right now I have very low energy. It's been cold, and it was sunny, but it's just been cold and kind of gross all day. And I'm tired. So a little bit low energy, but that's okay. I wanted to talk to you guys today about about something that's really important to me right now. And then kind of use this video as a segue into not the direction that I'm going to take all of my videos all the time, but a direction that I would like my videos to go in at least for a few days anyways. If I'm being honest, I don't know how long it'll last, but we'll see. So anyways, I've mentioned several times in my videos, either like yesterday's video when I was telling you guys about Dina Danielle, or when I've mentioned this community that I'm a part of and these friends that I've made as a result of this community. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time. This video isn't going to be as long, I don't think. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking to you guys about this community, how I got involved with it, and what it's meant to me. And when people who see this, who are not part of that community, hopefully they will go find that community and become a part of it as well, because it's that important. It's that good of a community. So it all goes back to last fall. The middle of the summer, late July, the beginning of August, my grandma got sick. She had had cancer several times in the past, and she got sick. She went in and she had tests. Her cancer had come back. And it didn't just come back a little bit. It came back with a vengeance. She had cancer in, I think, 4 different places. She had cancer in her bones, in her spine. She had cancer on her liver. And I believe there was other spots, but I don't remember where. And it wasn't, at the time, the prognosis was bad, but not fatal. It wasn't like terminal. She had some procedures done, and they kept her in a rehab facility to kind of build up her strength, get her appetite back, so that she could have chemo and get the surgery done to remove some of the spots and take care of everything. Well, my grandma was a little stubborn. My grandmother, my dad's side of the family, Eastern Kentucky, coal mining, mountain people. When people ask, I explain to them, if you're familiar with Loretta Lynn, and in the song Coal Miner's Daughter, when she talks about remembering the well where she would get water from. Well, my grandmother once told me that she grew up right across the holler from Loretta Lynn. So if holler is like the valley between two hills, mountains. So like Loretta Lynn's family was over here, then you have the holler, and then over on this side would have been where my grandmother grew up. And that she remembered that well as well. So that's the kind of stock that my grandma came from. So she's stubborn, and when it came time for physical therapy, she wanted to live and she wanted to do well, but she also was like, I'm not doing these things. She was picky about what she was going to eat or what she wouldn't eat. And she didn't always cooperate with the nursing staff. And they ended up sending her home with hospice. And I'm a very positive thinking person, especially when it comes to the medical stuff, because my great-grandmother, who is still alive, still kicking it, she will still beat your ass. My Grandma Gracie is a force not to be reckoned with. My Grandma Gracie has had cancer. She has had breast cancer, skin cancer, and she has beat it every time. And again, like I said, she's still alive and kicking it. So to me, the situation that my grandmother was in was scary. It was emotional, but I was hopeful. I told myself, cancer doesn't kill my family. At least not that side of my family. But it did. In the end of September, the middle of September last year, my grandma passed away. And that was a very hard time for me. And I'm going to try really hard not to get choked up talking about it right now. I felt like I didn't have the relationship with my grandma that I should have had. A lot of guilt, a lot of regret. And I don't want to get into all that sort of stuff because that's not what this video is about. This is not a video about me and my grandma. That can be a different video some other time, but that's not this video today. So anyways, I was in a really, really dark place. I was very upset. I was very hurt and heartbroken. I was depressed. I was so sad. I was just so crushed. And because of the fact that I'm in Michigan, my grandmother was in Michigan, but our family has a cemetery, a family plot in Kentucky where a good portion of my family still lives. And so we had a funeral service here in Michigan, and then the following weekend we had a funeral service and burial down in Kentucky. So those of you who have lost a loved one know how hard it is to have to deal with one funeral. I had to deal with one funeral and then a 6.5-hour road trip and another funeral and the burial. It was emotionally, that was the hardest thing I have been through in my adult life. I don't know emotionally if I have dealt with anything like that before. I probably have as a young person, but when you're a young person, your emotions are blah. Anyways. So it was hard for me. You guys know I have my daughter and I have my husband, and I love both of them so much. And my husband was so good to me during that time. And my sweet baby girl, she didn't understand what was going on. It was hard for me to be present. It was hard for me to be happy, to be myself. I would force myself to put on a smile and be a mom And I didn't want to do any of those things, and I hated the fact that I felt that way. So I was in a place that I didn't like. I didn't like feeling that way, but I didn't know how to get out of it. They were feelings I had never dealt with before. And I can tell that I'm getting a little choked up, so I'm going to hurry up and try to get to the happy part of the story. The week after the burial in Kentucky, I had a conference that I was attending up in Petoskey, Michigan, up north. And I was really looking forward to this conference because it was a weekend by myself. Again, love my family, but when it comes to the professional academic things that I do, I like to do that on my own. I feel more comfortable and like I can be Felicia the academic, Felicia the Hemingway scholar, better when I'm doing it by myself. So I was really looking forward to this weekend where I was going to be in one of my favorite places, Northern Michigan, Petoskey. If you guys aren't familiar with Michigan or Northern Michigan or Petoskey, you should get familiar with those places. Northern Michigan is beautiful. Actually, I'm wearing a Michigan sweater today. See that there? There's my home. I live in this relative region. That was my boob. And Petoskey, okay, here, while we're doing, Petoskey is up in this relative region-ish. So I was really looking forward to this, and it was going to be a weekend that would hopefully kind of kickstart my dissertation work again, get me back on track, get me refocused, and help me climb out of whatever dark hole whatever dark grief-stricken hole I had found myself in. And at some point, I don't remember if it was before I went up north or if it was when I was up north, but someone shared this video on Facebook, and it was this guy trying to follow a Bob Ross painting tutorial. And I was like, oh, Bob Ross, I love Bob Ross. Growing up, I watched Bob Ross all the time. Every like so many years, I go through a thought in my head of, I should just go and buy all these Bob Ross painting supplies and give it a shot. But they're expensive, and I don't have time. I don't have time to do a Bob Ross painting tutorial. So I was like, oh, this looks like it'll be fun. Let me watch this. And you guys, I laughed. And I really mean this. I laughed. I laughed to the point where I thought I was going to throw up multiple times. I laughed to the point where I had red poofy eyes and tears streaming down my face. I watched that video like 4 times in a row. It's a 13-minute long video, and I watched it at least 3 or 4 times in a row. The first time I saw it. And each time I laughed harder and harder and harder. And that was the first time that I didn't have to force a positive emotion. I didn't have to put on a facade or a mask about how I was feeling, because in those minutes, I was hysterical in a positive sense for the first time in weeks. It was that video that broke me out of my grief and my depression and let me start feeling things again. So I was like, I need to know more about this guy. He's hilarious. And so I went to his Facebook, and when I was in Petoskey, I was still struggling a little bit with the grief, and I was having obviously bad days. I was by myself, so I had time to think, which is always bad when you have emotions to sort through. And so I remember sitting in the room and watching not just that Bob Ross video, but going through his Facebook and watching him try to learn how to knit, watching him try to learn how to crochet. and watching just all these like hilarious little videos that he had posted on his Facebook. And I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's really funny. He's really funny, and I want to know more about this person. This is like, I joke with people, and when I first found the videos, I made all these jokes about, I want this guy to be my best friend in real life. Oh my god, I want to hang out with him. He's so cool. He seems like he'd be so much fun to be friends with. And you guys want to see my cup? It's like my head is in my cup. So I went through and I was watching all these videos because I don't like saying something like, oh, I get obsessed. But I was really, really interested in learning more about this person who I found hilarious. Especially because in some of the videos, he was saying things like living in his car and being homeless. And I'm like, who's this homeless guy living in his car that is making me laugh like this? This is crazy. So I went back as far as I could in the videos on Facebook. And there were a series of these videos called I'm Gonna Make It. I think there's 7 altogether. And so a little backstory is this guy, and I'm going to tell you his name and his Facebook and all that in just a minute, but for now he's just this guy. This guy moved to LA, sold everything that he owned, moved to LA by himself so that he could pursue his dreams of being on TV or in movies and doing comedy. He spent all the money he had to his name to enroll in this comedy school, and he did have a job, and he was doing the comedy school, but to save money so that he could really put in what he needed into paying off his debts and getting himself really into this comedy, he was going to live in his car. And that was it. And I'm like, this is so fascinating. I'm so intrigued. And I kept watching. I watched more videos. And then he had a video from a little over a year and a half ago where he was talking about how he had been, it was in one of the I'm Gonna Make It videos. He said he hadn't posted in a little while. And to me that meant nothing because I was binge watching them. They all happened at the same time in my mind. But he mentioned how his grandfather had passed away. And he was having a difficult time because he couldn't afford to go home when his grandpa passed away. And so here I am in this emotional state. This video is still going to be as long as the other damn videos because I talk too much. Here I am in this emotional state after burying my grandmother and being in this dark, awful place, and this person who pulled me out of it and made me laugh and made me happy. I could tell that this person, even though they were funny, even though they were able to make other people laugh, also still had hurt, still had pain. And something about that whole, like, watching the videos in the order that I did, when I did, had a really big impact on me. So I started watching all the videos. Sometimes he would do a Facebook live stream, and I would jump on there. And all of a sudden, I had new friends. People were adding me as friends on Facebook, and I was talking to them. All of a sudden, there were fan pages. Well, not really all of a sudden, but not long after there were fan pages. I started helping one of the people who started one of the fan pages, doing like a basic moderating kind of stuff. And, now I'm part of this chat. I think there's like 70 people in the actual group chat. But there's maybe like 15 of us who regularly talk on a daily basis. And through this one person, I have now become part of this network of people who are so kind, so positive, so uplifting, so helpful, and motivating and inspiring. Hearing some of these people's life stories, and hearing about the things that they're going through and how these videos and how this comedy has helped them. It's just been such an incredible, and this has been since October. It is now January. In this super short period of time, my social circle, I know people are weird about like online friends, whatever, but my social circle has blown up. And I have these people in my life who I feel super drawn to, super connected to, people I consider really good friends. One of my new friends actually lives like 15 minutes away from me, and we hung out and had coffee a couple weeks ago. We're going to be hanging out in a couple more weeks. And it's all because of this one person. So, let me tell you about this one person who I've been talking about this whole time. His name is Brandon Ferris. His handle on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, which is new, is I'm Brandon Ferris, all lowercase. And his little phrase is "you deserve to laugh." And you do. We talk about self-care, we talk about taking care of ourselves, and part of that is we need to laugh. We have to be able to find things to laugh about. We have to be able to find joy when things don't look so good. And he, he's still like emerging. He has emerged, but he's still emerging. He's like little baby. I hope he never sees this, actually. Little baby Brandon. He still does live streams at least once a week and interacts with, upwards of 5,000 or 6,000 people for an hour or two. He has brought his family into it. Dina Danielle is his mom. She is one of the sweetest people I have ever, I didn't think people could be as nice as she is. Mind blown. Because of his encouragement and the things that he has said, he's directed people to, his sister. The Bob Ross video that I watched, was a reaction to trying to be the better sibling because his sister had done something that was really, really, really good, and he wanted to be better as a joke. So I started talking with his sister, Morgan, and she's just like my spirit animal. I just want to put her in my pocket. I don't know if she watches this. Guys, if you watch this, I'm sorry. I just want to put her in my pocket. I just adore her. And then the woman who was Brandon's BFF and is now Brandon's girlfriend, Gloria, again, it's always shocking to me when these people who are so talented and so they have so many better things to do with their lives than interact with people like me, who go out of their way to then interact with people like me. I'm just like, what? Why? Who am I? Why are you talking to me? But please keep talking to me, please. Gloria is one of the most supportive and empowering and uplifting and inspiring females I have ever also known. And this is all just because I happened to see one video that resonated with me really, really, really strongly. So the reason I wanted to talk about this community is obviously because I want all of you who watch this, if you're not watching this because you're one of those people who I now love and adore because of Brandon, if you are a person who I love and adore outside of that, I want you to, when you are done watching this, I want you to go find Brandon's videos and I want you to watch them. All of them. at least 15 times each. Because the community and the level of inspiration and positivity that he radiates and he gives to people is just incredible. And the world needs more of that. The world needs more laughter. The world needs more people wanting to be kind and positive and helpful towards other people. That's what this world needs more than anything. And I know this is gonna sound super wishy-washy, but I honestly believe, I feel like I don't know who watches these videos, so I just say things, and now I'm like almost embarrassed. I honestly believe that this community, like being led by Brandon and Gloria and Morgan and Dina, that this community can absolutely change the world. And I mean that with a super straight face. Absolutely. There are people in this community from all over the world, and he and they are having an impact on people all across the world. And if the people are taking from these videos and from this community the lessons and the positivity and the goodness and kindness that is being radiated from them, and putting that into their daily lives and spreading that to other people, then yes, I believe beyond a shadow of a doubt that this community, this individual and his followers / friends and family can change the world 100%. But to wrap this up, the reason that I'm sharing all this with you and telling you all this is because going back to the videos that he started making when he first moved to LA, the I'm Gonna Make It videos, those videos were a way to be a daily reinforcement that he did not go to LA for nothing, that he was going to make it, that he was going to succeed and achieve his goals. And even though he stopped doing videos titled I'm Gonna Make It number 1, I'm Gonna Make It number 2, the videos still have that essence about them. And I want to think about these videos at least for a little while in the same sense. I'm not going to name them I'm going to make it, or like I'm going to write my dissertation, I'm going to get my PhD. But I want to be able to say every day when I do record at least one thing that I did that day that is going to put me one step closer to those goals. My goal being that I will defend my dissertation and earn my PhD in May of 2020. That is my goal. And so starting tomorrow, at some point in my video, whatever I'm talking about for that day, there will be a tiny portion where I say, hey guys, this was my step today. This is the step that I took to help me get towards my goal. And what do I think about it? Was it a good step? And I'll like reflect on that too. So anyways, thanks for watching. I'm sorry this ended up being a half hour. I really want to try to get these videos shorter because no one wants to watch 30 minutes of me doing this. But I had a lot to talk about today, things that I thought were really important. So I love you guys, as always. You deserve to laugh. You do. Go check out Brandon Ferris. Go find him. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter. And thanks for watching. And I'm looking forward to starting my own, I'm gonna make it progress, whatever I am gonna call them. So have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow.